The Hydra do not understand war. Even when the other species introduce them, painfully, to the organized application of violence, what a war of annihilation looks like, they still didn't learn how to destroy an opponent. The Hydra do not understand war, but we do. And after millennia at each other's throats, we have become exceedingly efficient at it. Colonel Hans Castillo, Earth Unconquered, Volume 4.
All right, g'day everyone. Welcome back to Terra Invicta. For what I'm hoping, if all goes well, will probably be the penultimate episode of this series. We do have American troops rolling into the Philippines, but in terms of the war against the aliens, things are pretty much coming to a head in terms of our offensive actions. The key point is that this episode, we're going to want to do two main things in space and one thing on Earth. In terms of space, one objective is to clear out basically all of the solar system other than the Kuiper belt of alien stations, bash them for exotics that I imagine not just are useful for fleet building, but if we win the war, you can imagine humanity's going to want a really large stockpile of this stuff while we figure out how to reverse engineer it on a more sustainable basis. The second thing we're going to want to do is break the back, so that breaks the back of the alien economy by destroying their mines. The other thing we're going to want to do is break the back of their fleet and secure their home base essentially by throwing a fleet out into the Kuiper belt, sweeping wayward, moving in here, and setting up shop right over one of these will be Alien Surface Base Alpha. We want to set up over this, absolutely blast it and the Hydra that are hiding there since they can't infiltrate to Earth, establish orbital dominance, then finish the story mission and probably put an end to this campaign. Meanwhile on Earth, all about continuing the process of consolidation and stabilizing around the world. We are going to hunt down the last of the places that the Protectorate and servants have a hold of. Angola, South Africa. Knock them out of those places, continue consolidations, stabilize the environment, which we have pretty much gotten to the point of doing. We are now at the point where we are around stable on CO2 in the atmosphere month on month. I reckon this episode we can start it to go narrowly negative. At that point, it's not a rush to dial it back. We just know that we have the time necessary to do it. So consolidations, Europe against the initiative, a number of ones in Africa, but the main ones are going to be fleet actions in the solar system, with the big objectives probably being some of the major alien fleets that are grouping up around some of the asteroids as secondary bases. And the big prize for us would be to draw some sort of large alien counterattack out of the Kuiper belt so they don't overly concentrate. I know it would make for a very dramatic final battle, but we're not going to drop our tactics too much just to guarantee a massive punch-up. I'd like to draw some alien ships out here because I'm destroying their infrastructure. And when that happens, we use the speed advantage we have with our PCT Titans to then get out to the Kuiper belt faster than they can get back, smash them, destroy their backline infrastructure, and hopefully that's all she wrote. We will be reinforcing our assets in space. Felix is up there and has been up there for a long time. We'll probably send a second counselor up this episode just because the sheer number of mining stations we have to destroy is just so large. As you can see, there is a lot of targets to clear. So getting a second counselor out here to speed up the bashing, something I'm going to try and do. The Sparty 8 cruiser to transport them out there as a very, very, very fast marine taxi is being constructed, should come online soon. There is, of course, the ancillary objective related to all the others that we're going to want to do, which is knock down the last of the alien fleet combat power. We have worn them back down to 170 ships, despite a massive rate of construction. So every time they send out a task group that we can pinch off, all the better. Victor 634 represents a statement of stubborn commitment to the original bit by the aliens. It is not here for us. Victor 634 has turned up around Luna and is bombarding Roland base. So Mare Tranquillitatis, that's Roland base. Something's bombarding Piri Crater. What could possibly be bombarding Piri Crater? Oh, that is hilarious. So as the aliens are bombarding Resistance, but the Resistance's base on Luna, which is a significant installation. Did we originally build that? I'm not sure, because that's Skunkworks, Ops Center, Colony Mining Complex. I mean, the yields are pathetic, but it's a more developed base that I normally see from the AI. Anyway, the Resistance is also bombarding the Servant base on Luna using this Aubrey class corvette, which has a ultraviolet phaser cannon, which normally wouldn't be able to bombard on a planet with an atmosphere, but works perfectly fine on the moon. Also, I think that's the first time I've seen the AI fielding ultraviolet phasers. Unfortunately, it's just a bombardment corvette, but that means the Resistance has successfully researched ultraviolet phaser cannons. So if they get access to a good supply of exotics, they might actually be able to make some really dangerous capital ships the way we do. Interesting. Anyway, the point is, we're going to send Battlefleet Terra, or at least a segment of ships from Battlefleet Terra, out to bash this force around Luna. And then Battlefleet Terra comes swooping into the rescue, potentially not in time to save the Resistance base, but enough time to smash this alien fleet. 1.2 thousand versus 1.7. Let's engage. They're fleeing. We can catch them. Max bid will force engagement. Both fleets spend 0 KPS. Okay, so they didn't run that hard. It must be because we have a significant... We have a 3-to-1 acceleration advantage. That probably matters. And then we'll have just enough Delta V after this battle to limp to our lunar station. I just spent a lot of propellant, but I don't care. At this stage of the game, I got the economy. My primary goal is the destruction of alien ships. These are alien ships. Let's destroy them. Okay, targets are allocated. If all goes well, this might be the last major operation of the old missile-armed Battlefleet Terra fleet. Remember, a lot of these monitors, they're old Mars-class or Bastion-class ships that have been in service pretty much throughout the entire war. Some of these are quite old hulls, but they're reliable old technology. What isn't reliable old technology is I've seen a couple of these alien ships. Not many. I think I saw one. Where was it? Let's check the Core Dark Star, Stardust, Memory, Graceful Moon. There it is. This is the new Graceful Moon class monitor. And it is a priority target for just about everything I have. In terms of coils, missiles are going to kill a bunch of other stuff too, because it is our first encounter with an X-ray laser cannon. Those things are dangerous. The aliens later get even more dangerous grazers, gamma lasers. But yeah, these things have this kind of armor-penetrating potential that you do not want to have to mess with. So since it's trying to maneuver, I say we try and put phaser rounds right through the side, or phaser shots right through the side. Lots of advanced alien torpedoes firing. Let's slow it down and see if we can get some lasers in before they pivot. Because I really do not like that laser. Come on. They might be out of arc, which would be a problem. Okay, laser is now firing. Graceful Moon took a shot on the front. That is not where we wanted to be hitting it. Yeah, it's pivoted to face us. That is unfortunate. All right, well, hopefully the missiles can take care of it. What we'll do is we'll start pointing the phaser at the targets that are probably still side on. But really, as you can see, the torpedo swarm is going to be doing most of the work here. It's been a long time since we did torpedo spam. We'll also have to deal with their incoming torpedo spam, complete with the anti-frame rate weapon of choice, the 40mm autocannon. But the big defense here should be the Melbourne-class Titan with those phasers. This is why I like the high DV performance of the Athena. There are other torpedoes that can work too. I need to stress that in the building meta, it's not... The designs I go with aren't the only designs that work. They're just designs that I know will work. You don't have to use Artemis into Athena. You don't have to use a coil missile combo. You don't have to use the ships that I come with in the armor amounts that I use. I just know that they do work. So, good kill. All right, that's mostly looking good so far. Anything that we miss with the torps, we can take out with the phaser. And then the main force. Looks like the main force is taking its hits now. Good kills. I mean, if all else fails, we still have our coil ships. Nice. And of course, the aliens weren't accounting for us being here because this force was designed to defeat the resistance, not us. But they need to understand humanity's working together at this point, and they can deal with it. We're taking some plasma hits, nothing we can't deal with. And I think that's pretty much all she wrote. This guy maneuvering desperately to avoid those last torpedoes. Unsuccessfully. Which leaves just this ship here, the shattered sky. And those torpedoes are retargeting. All done. Battlefleet Terra chalking up one last victory. Or maybe more. Maybe the aliens will decide to YOLO orbit after this, but rip. 3 exotics, a bunch of promotions, 24 alien ships destroyed. And we have Delta V for the entire force, so we will be able to limp back to a yard. We'll resupply, we won't repair here, we don't have many yards. We'll jump over the lunar hub, we'll resupply, and then it's back to Earth quickly, and we'll do the repairs there before anyone gets any ideas about our low Earth orbit infrastructure. Okay, Felix and MEU Spartan have arrived in system. They're now going to start disassembling and ripping the exotic wiring out of the walls of every alien facility, starting with Lemur Sword Station, then all those surface bases, then those around Ariel, Umbriel. This is going to be an absolute treasure trove. As soon as that other cruiser is finished, I will get a second counselor out here, because otherwise just disassembling this number of structures is just going to take so long. But I don't really want to be wasteful and destroy them without ripping them apart with the counselor, because we're going to run out of exotic sources. The number of alien fleets is going down, so I kind of want to be efficient, recovering as much as I possibly can from what's left. Another interesting one is this, the battle that's about to happen for QF99 Exadius. We have alien groups that are rallying. This is one of the points where they're trying to concentrate, but I'm also using it as a rally point. Foxtrot 1143 is a bunch of additional PCT Titans. They're going to be joining Battlefleet Unity. Battlefleet Unity itself is on the way. MEU Crayon, which is there to destroy the facilities, is also on its way. And then Task Group Monash out here with 14 additional ships. So this is where the big rally will happen. We'll destroy some alien ships in the process, and then we'll be ready to jump out into the belt, hopefully drawing them out first. And on Earth, I just wanted to flag, the Resistance appears to be getting into the spirit of the entire affair. What the Resistance has done is built up a bunch of additional armies for the United Kingdom. They now have 3. I think 2 of them have navies, or it's 1 plus 1 on the way. And they've started declaring war on nations controlled by the Protectorate as well. They actually declared war on Angola. I've jumped in with the United States, because that way we should become the war leader. We'll get there first. We'll take over Angola, not them. But it is interesting that the Resistance now seems to understand the Servants of Protectorate don't have any armies left. They don't have any nuclear weapons left. In fact, I don't think anyone... The Academy still has 1 nuke in North Korea. Exodus has 1 nuke left in Israel. The Resistance has 2 nukes left in the UK. Every other nuclear weapon on the planet is under Humanity First control. I reckon we can get North Korea and disarm it. That'll eliminate that one, which will leave exactly 3 nuclear barrages that we don't control left intact on planet Earth. And now that we have 2 bombardment ships ready, with racks of laser weapons in orbit, ready to provide orbital fire support if need be, our military position on the planet is getting, well, it was secure a long time ago, but the Odin and Thor sort of add to the whole dynamic. Okay, it is 23rd June 2042. Task Group Monash is arriving at the rally point at QF99. They're doing a deceleration burn to fall into orbit, and in so doing, in the process, run into Steel Fortress Station, where they'll just pick up a couple of alien ships, which we should be able to auto-resolve our way through. I'll go do that manually, but because I don't want the damage to these corvettes. What we'll do is we'll destroy Steel Fortress Station. I know that's giving up some exotics that we could otherwise use, but we'll send the Marines in, destroy that, we'll set up our own refueling and repair platform, because what I want to be able to do is refuel all of these ships that we are grouping together. So those PCT, basically our Protium Converter Torch Power Task Force that's going out there, does so with a full load of propellant. So we'll turn this into a forward operating base. We'll leave some ships behind, Marines to destroy the infrastructure, and a few ships just to catch other alien vessels as they trickle in. But we'll group up the rest of the force and make ready to head out. And while obviously Humanity First military has undergone the most technological change in orbit, on Earth we finally hit a milestone as well. American troops are leaving Angola after throwing the protectorate government out. What we will do now, probably first, is actually 100% unity. Let's get the population that is somehow, the 59 million people of Angola still think that at this point, with this being the state of, I just assume it's propaganda that's causing this, but still think surrendering is the only option available to us as we send battle fleets out further and further into the solar system and destroy alien fleets with minimal losses. Let's convince them of the correct way of doing things, then clean up all of these emissions. I'm sending the US military back to Europe because we're going to have to cut our way into, well, I've started with Switzerland, then we'll need to grab Czechia, then move into the Balkans, which is made all the more efficient by the fact the Americans have finally reached a new Miltech level. This is a technology level 6 invasion age military unit. So clearly we've replaced the traditional tank cannon, probably an unmanned turret. I'm guessing some sort of railgun, not just a standard chemical cannon. I'm not sure on the logic in these futuristic vehicles of having the unprotected forward track. Forget the art for a moment. Having a tech level advantage makes you twice as effective as the previous level. A 6 is twice as good as a 5, which means I believe a 6 is 4 times as good as a tech level 4. So while we haven't built any new militaries for the US since the start of the game, no new deployable divisions, our total deployable military power is now 3 to 4 times what it was at the start of the game, accounting for the fact we also have these bonuses as well. So the Swiss and their neutrality won't know what hit them. And what are we going to be testing those militaries on? Well, of course, supporting the Italian and European Union militaries, rolling into nominally neutral Switzerland that's actually under the control of the Initiative and their corporate overlords. Okay, Felix is doing his absolute best over here. We've cleared out Miranda. We've established the Miranda garrison fleet, which is currently, one ship to make sure it's not backstabbed while we work on the forward operating base that will become a fleet base, securing it just like we have every other major planet in the solar system. However, it's slow going. So, Nick Johnson over here, by process of elimination. We need Audrey because she's our highest persuasion character. We need Erica because she's our shooter and our highest espionage and highest command character. We need Bert because he's our investigate character. And Talat, which leaves Talos and Nick. Talos has a much higher science score, which makes him the better advisor. So guess what, Nick? You're a Marine now. So let's send him to orbit.
Go for liftoff.
Go for liftoff indeed. He will transfer over to this ship with 3.2 thousand KPS, as all our Marine cruisers have. And he can go out, join this force here, and help speed up the bashing. We might need to add extra Marine ships if we want to have 2 leaders using them rather than 1. I don't think you can have 2 councillors sending the same Marines against different targets in the same turn. I think you need to split the force. I think there are enough Marines here as it is, but we'll send him out and then see if we can get double the effect. I'd like to be getting 50 exotics a month, not 25. Okay, I think this is the moment we've been waiting for. This is it. So there are now 145 alien ships left. The overwhelming majority of them are currently concentrated in the Kuiper Belt, or they're in transit from various places. These are the only forces that aren't individual ships. 10 in a garrison force, including an assault carrier. Yeah, that really worked out well for you guys. They never got to send that. We never had to knock down an assault carrier. There are 13 ships heading towards Triton, a sort of a small counterattack there. We will probably build a defense force locally, maybe reinforce it with some ships from elsewhere, and I think we can defend against that. There's still 15 ships on the way to Exadius. We've destroyed the station they were going to refuel at, so they're probably going to have to split this force. They're not going to have great options once they get there. There's one other main asteroid base, Low 279 Fuel, which is way out here. I think once we get the asteroid bashers online, they're going to go smash into this, just so those ships don't cause any trouble elsewhere. Then you have these ones. This is a second garrison force, also hanging out in the Kuiper belts, but in this little object out here. So there's 2 garrison forces for about 30 ships, but there is actually about another 50 or 60. Those, what I'm calling Xenos counterattack Ariel, have all grouped up, including some of the best remaining ships in the alien force. We are talking up to and including Titan-class threats. Titans, bombers. Ignore the fact that some of these vessels are described as low risk. In some cases, that's because they have nice little torpedo bays, for example. 50 ships. However, the problem is that while there's good ships, there's also some not very good ships, some local defense ships that have been brought into the force in order to bulk it out. I'm thinking these Luminous Star cruisers, for example, that have orange laser cannons, so the bottom level alien laser tech, a lot of point defense, and only 300 kps. These are garrison, rear area defense vessels, still running Alien Hybrid Confinement Fusion Reactor 1. They've got diamondoid armor rather than exotics. They are not top tier threats, and they are slowing this force down. But the aliens have grouped it up because they figure they need a large force in order to have a chance, and they're sending it to Ariel, out here, where Battle Group Crusader is just wrecking merry havoc. I reckon they're betting this could beat Battle Group Crusader. They have more combat power. I reckon the Crusaders could hold their own, but it's completely beside the point because they're not going to get there for 876 days. They will arrive there on 12 January 2045 because space is big and the Kuiper Belt is a long, bloody way from anything. They're making this transfer. In fact, I can probably zoom in on them so we can actually see the transfer they have to make. It's going to be insane. But the alternative is they just sat there and let me destroy their stuff. They had to punch out. They had to do something. So they put this doomstack together and they're throwing it at me. And they're rallying, oh, it looks like they're rallying a lot of those single ships seem to be rallying to it. So good on them. But that means the gate is down. The enemy gate is down. The garrison fleet is much weakened. So, counterpunch. Let's zoom over. Shouldn't have double-clicked that. Let's zoom over to Battlefleet Unity. This is the most powerful combat fleet that humanity has ever assembled. 43 Dreadnought and Titan-class vessels. Total crew count, approximately 8,000. Because there are no marine ships, just combat vessels. We've split off the Marines that are staying behind and clearing up some objects. We'll send fast-moving Marines, the Tom Hunter-class ships, after them. We'll meet them there with councillors and whatnot later on. The point of Battlefleet Unity here is we get out into the Kuiper Belt, we secure orbital superiority, we destroy their shipbuilding stations, and then we leave the surface bases to the Marines when those eventually arrive. But we go out there and we wreck their shipbuilding infrastructure, once and for all. A transfer out to the Kuiper Belt. We could make it to, I'll plot what the exact transfer is, but at a full burn, we can do that in 16 weeks. Forget doing 860 days to the objective. At full burn, we can do it in less than 140, significantly less. We can slow it down. If we wanted to do a 140 or a 147-day transfer, we could do it using about half of our delta V. That might be where I'm more interested in doing. I'd like to arrive maybe, in fact, that might be poetic. I know it's a lot of propellant, but speed is of the essence here, and also the sheer propaganda value of it. We can arrive in the Kuiper Belt, 30 December 2042. You know, this feels good because I know the aliens will get one back for me next playthrough where we do brutal Africa only with some additional restrictive house rules, but right now, feels good. Let's go kick their teeth in. Okay, Battlefleet Unity due to arrive on 30 December, so they are well on their way. Like I said, it'll be a while before we have the Marines and the councils ready to follow up. I'm also preparing a special flight of ships because I'm aware that the final alien base, Surface Base Alpha, we can't just reduce it using Marines. In order to complete our missions, which we haven't unlocked yet quite deliberately, we're going to have to bombard it. The way I'm going to do that If we go ship classes, are these things. The Judgment class monitor. This is a long-range, Daedalus-powered, shaped nuke throwing ship. That's all it exists to do. They're very, very cheap, tiny exotics because that's only a single Nova torch and a small ICF-7 drive, 5,000 tons, 5,500 ton wet mass, 79 crew, and they're going to bring these Acheron-shaped nuclear torpedoes. Why? Because my understanding is when you're bombarding using nukes, which you can only do against something that doesn't have an atmosphere, like the alien base, even if those are destroyed in the simulation by the PD of the base, and bases have a lot of PD on those battle stations, there is still, I think, a 20% chance per missile that detonation happens late enough in the attack that the shaped nuke destroys a module anyway. So with enough of a bombarding force, sure, we don't have a huge amount of armor, but our first salvo should wreck everything, and the amount of return fire we take should be hopefully minimal. We'll only need that against the base, against Surface Base Alpha. Everything else, Counselors and Marines can deal with. And so we'll also construct some additional Marine ships for reinforcements as well. Critical step. But Unity, to establish space dominance, arriving 83 days. Meanwhile, back on Earth, we've started purging our way into Nigeria. We've secured Angola. Unity is now done, pivoting to welfare, environment, a little bit of Unity just to maintain the cohesion. Let's get those emissions crushed and also up the stability just a little bit more by getting that wealth inequality under control. Then we'll have to think about what other parts of Africa we absorb into either South Africa, Angola, or Nigeria. We have also grabbed South Africa, courtesy of the United States military, just, special, very special military operation, throw the government out, and here we are. Environmental standards, inequality, this country is not in great shape. South Africa has not been treated well by its previous rulers. We'll get the population on side first with a whole heavy dose of Unity. Then we need to crush this inequality and environment, same as everywhere else. I'll see if there are some other places in Africa we might be able to absorb into South Africa, but it has enough problems as it is. This is more of a long-term project. All I'm really trying to do is make sure they're stable, that they don't get taken back, that they're not safe havens for the Protectorate or the servants, and to eliminate just that last little extra bit of emission so that, as you can see now, we're getting very close to going backwards month on month. There are some months where we've gone backwards, some months where it still grows. Part of the difference here is that India is still a major emitter, having absorbed Indonesia. We need to get them up to 10. That'll crush almost 700 million tons every year. And also, once they get to 10, they can start being a negative emitter, which, scaled by the population of nearly 3 billion people, should be, that should make a dent. Then, over here, we're doing it. We've split the force into two counselors, one on each. Felix and Nick can each assault different bases, Diamond Fortress and Opal Fortress, which means hopefully they can be cleaning up 2 a turn, doubling our effective exotics income. Am I spending it at this point? Not really. I think I have enough PCT ships to win. Anything else that I build should be relatively cheaper designs, Marines, support, that kind of stuff instead, or vessels I need to beat off the alien counterattacks that are being thrown against various objects. Aliens, as I said, down to 147 ships. We should be able to crush this 32 and all of these ones that are docked around Alien Station Able. Those should be pretty easy pickups. And then the rest, well, these reinforcements will arrive in 18 days. Task Force Battlefleet Unity should already be there to meet them. You can probably predict how that's likely to end. So we're in pretty good control. We just need to take away the last of their mines and their shipyards. And the solar system should be getting pretty close to secure. As for the alien empire itself, once we have orbital control over their base, that's when I'll research the final objective. And just for a little bit of extra relevance, I'm also researching antimatter beam core reactor for the meme drive, just in case we end up needing it. As indicated, here are the nuke boats formed up around Titan. They finished construction. You can see the defense fleet full of escorts still standing on watch over there. I've got 21 ships, 20 nuke launchers, and the Ragnarok, which is holding the fleet bridge. 797 KPS means getting out there is going to take a little bit longer, but it's not a rush. 28.64 weeks. We'll arrive mid-2043. I am okay doing I'm not going to rush, but I don't have to do a full burn. So I don't have to do a full burn, but even if I do, it's not super expensive because the propellant is only 300 per ship instead. Much cheaper than some of our others because we're using deadless, not PCT brute forcing it. So we might send them out there pretty close to their maximum speed because by the time they arrive, there should be a refueling station in orbit, ready to reload them and keep those magazines fed as they rain fire down on Alien Base Alpha. And through the power of editing, it's relatively rapid for me to get to what will probably be the main event for this episode, and one of the main events in any playthrough. Our battle fleet has now arrived in the Kuiper Belt. Battlefleet Unity is here. We've got about 600 KPS in reserve. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over and bash that station and the fleet that is there. Then we'll go out to the moon, bash that station and the fleet that's there, jump back over here, and set up our refueling station. And then we're just going to sit, establish orbital dominance, and wait for Marines to either be built up or for one of our counselors to be free. What we might be able to do is keep one here to continue bashing. They're on to Umbriel at this point. I skipped Bianca, so we'll go bang, 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 and then finish off down here, just because the bases were still under construction, so they weren't as dangerous. So we might leave one counselor here to continue that work and send another with Marines out to the Kuiper Belt to reinforce Battlefleet Unity. But let's not talk around what we're going to do. Let's just do something. Alien Station Able. Oh, they're already intercepting me. Mate, are you already intercepting me? I thought I was going to have to go to you. Aliens, Kuiper Belt. Okay, they're coming to us. 33 ships, 2.8 hours. Bring it on, guys. Seriously. Is it Victor 804? It is Victor 804. And they're launching more ships too. Okay. And they didn't quite sync the arrival. Blap. Luckily we don't have missiles, so I can auto-resolve. Did I just accidentally reject that? I think I accidentally rejected that. Let me squash this dreadnought and then the main fleet will arrive. Okay, here we go, for real. 33 v 43. We have the combat power advantage. We have the Delta V advantage. In most ships, we're going to have the technology advantage. Some of these will have higher tier technology. They will have started building them this year. But most of this stuff, as we can see, it's older. It's violets, not X-rays. There's some particle weapons. We have in terms of ships that are significant in terms of displacement. There are 3 dreadnoughts here. There are a couple of battleships. Alien mag cannon, heavy plasma. But a lot of these are older battleships. Battle cruiser, cruiser. We have these guys so outmatched. But they're willing to fight anyway because they're defending their home turf. So let's form up and make it happen. I'm going to choose a slightly higher closing velocity. No, I'm not. I'm going to stick to 500. I'm going to create control groups. I'm going to create a group of kind of actually okay broadly with how these ships have been set out. What I'm going to do is create a group of laser ships on the left, a group of laser ships on the right, a group of laser ships in the center. That'll enable us to allocate 3 separate phaser batteries, if you like, at a time. And potentially, one tactic I'm going to try out next run is instead of doing this sort of high wall, once we start deploying particles or lasers in large numbers, instead creating a very broad spread out formation so that we can then shoot into side armor more readily. But let's confirm that. Let's make that group 1. Let's make that group, no, not including that dreadnought there. That's group 3. That's group 2 in the middle. I'll let the coils mostly do their own work. The first shots fired will actually be the aliens when they launch torpedoes. Interesting formation. This is a high wall with a forward section. I'm not seeing them break off flankers yet. Let's see what they do. Clearly they want to draw. I'm not going to give them a draw. We were past the draw the moment you decided to come to our solar system and enslave us. Okay, alien torpedoes away, flankers going out. Group 1, priority target there. Group 2, priority target there. Group 3, priority target there. Anyone who's maneuvering, basically. Not that they're in range yet. It's going to take a while. For all of our technological developments, I believe we never get close to matching the delta V in acceleration of top-tier alien torpedoes. So this is going to be the biggest test ever for phaser PD. But I think we have enough. The 40mm is basically emotional support at this point until the magnetics start coming out. Siege coils away. Look at the disco show. Beautiful. They're concentrating on our right, which means our ships on the left are not engaging, but we can engage with PD from the right and the center. And I just don't think this salvo is big enough. We're getting into the densest part of the torpedo cloud. And the thing is, as they get closer, they get into range of ships that are not originally in range. Let's pull the radiators in. I don't want to take long-range speculative plasma shots. Interesting that we fired a whole bunch of coils out this way against the flankers. Not the choice I would make, but then again, we're not quite within laser range of most of their ships yet. I think it's pretty clear at this point that we are going to be able to handle the torpedo volley. They are pretty much out of torps, and we are definitely not out of point defense. So the question now is targets. Firing from the left. Firing from the center. Firing from the right. Let's see if we can get the blind justice while it's still side on. I'm not sure if we will. Blap, 2 ships gone. Yeah, I think all these speculative core shots out there are going to do very little other than force the aliens to maneuver a bit. But you know what? That's okay. Blap. Blap. Now I'm not padlocking my ships because I don't want to expose the side armor to any plasma that's still in their main line force, because you can see plasma is coming in slowly. But honestly, I think that as most of these flankers come into range of our force, they're just going to evaporate way too quickly. We've reached a critical mass. We have energy weapons officers. And first phase is coming in. That ship got wrecked. Absolutely wrecked. Now, for stuff like this that's facing forward armor on, it's not really an easy target in the same way. But as you can see, the total number of flankers on the board dramatically reduced. The Blind Justice, not quite in range, but I'm going to make it priority target for all the laser ships because it is side on. And as a battleship, it's a relatively valuable target. You can see the lasers are firing at the main force because there's nothing else in range. But as the Blind Justice burns into range, it starts taking those side hits, and it's basically melted in real time. Love the work. I'm going to risk padlocking Group 1 to try and destroy the Blind Reaper. And then what I'm going to do is switch their priority target back to the main force so that hopefully they rotate. Come on, guys. Just knock him out. That ship has taken hilarious amounts of damage. Just a clean hit on the reactor, guys. Come on. Additional torpedoes coming out. That's interesting. PD should be able to handle that. Is there a non-destroyed module left on that vessel? That is a very, very impressive display by the Crushed Hope. That said, also coils are starting to arrive at the main force, so we'll zoom down there in a moment. I just want to see this ship go. The other flanker that was basically front on has gone first, I guess because there were more laser vessels engaging it. All right, finally. In a sense, a heroic display by their damage control crews, but ultimately not enough. Let's point the fleet back towards these guys and watch the coils do their work. What we'll use the lasers for is to beat down on some of the smaller stuff that is less likely to be prioritized by the siege coils. They have a huge amount of lasers now firing defensively, but against these giant chunks of metal, in the end, I'm not sure it's going to matter, especially once these ranges close within 750k, at which point the medium coils, not just the siege weapons, are going to be firing as well. Here we go. Okay, this is the first time you're seeing siege and small coils intermingled, which just means I have a feeling their defense is going to collapse at this point. Interesting missed there. Okay, we'll speed this up because I'm pretty sure we know how this ends. Coils just keep raining through the force. I actually think what I should do at this point is manually spread the coil ships out. Okay, so I've retargeted to try and spread out our coils. It won't happen initially. Because by default, apparently the targeting officers decide they hate individual ships really, really, really badly. We've just decided that they should spread the love a bit. Darkest Night's about to go blap. We're hearing hits. Lots of hits, in fact. And also at this range, we're now at, what, 500 kilometers? Some of these smaller ships aren't going to be able to deal with phaser fire at this distance. Good hits. The dominant piece getting absolutely smacked. I don't know what to say at this point. They came to our solar system under the mistaken assumption that they were going to destroy everyone else and no one was going to destroy them. They sowed the wind, and so they are reaping the whirlwind. Welcome to our solar system. And after all that, magazines are like 1/6 depleted. extend radiators, dump your heat. Life is good. Total loot, 17 exotics, 33 ships destroyed. Total alien fleet size, now 113. We'll get Battlefleet Unity to rally, which they will do in just a couple of hours. And there are still some alien ships here. 2 battleships at a station, a destroyer. Oh, and of course they didn't send the assault carrier. Let's go smack the exotics loot pinata as well. Destroy the station. Then we're going to want to jump out here, destroy that fleet and station. Back here, establish our presence. This is ours now. Let's smash alien station Able. Call that... surprised we only got 1.4 exotics out of an assault carrier of all things, but I will take it. Will be available for operations. And now here's the thing. We know that Xenoform Alpha 27 is on board Alien Station Able. We know that Alien Station Able is building a Titan. We can physically see it in the spaceworks over there. We know this is a valuable station full of a lot of exotics. But I'm going to make the call, because we don't have the Marines here, we don't have a Counselor here, we're just going to destroy the station as is, even though we don't get exotics from it, because the key here is to establish orbital dominance, not to maximize exotics. We'll do the same thing with the station over at Quaoar. It's the ground bases that we'll continue looting, or orbital bases we discover elsewhere. Here I think speed is of the essence. I don't want to maintain a camp on that station. I want to establish full control of this orbit and go from there. And then I think we also join the British launched a war on Protectorate Kenya. The US are also engaged in that. But I think for the European Union specifically, let's go to Bosnia. May as well. Great. Alien Station Able destroyed. Good job, Battlefleet Unity. You guys are ready for operations straight away. So we're going to jump you straight out to Cobalt Guardian Station. You'll arrive in 3.6 hours. We'll smack Victor 816. Zoom through the power of PCT. What would be a major effort for human spaceflight at the start of the game is just comically easy. At the point where we have these sort of technology, we will accept those results. There were no exotics there.
Victory.
And the Marines around, I'll take it. Let's destroy this hab as well, Cobalt Guardian. Then we'll jump back over the main alien base, set up our own platform, and get some Marines and a Counselor on the way.
Hostile target secured.
Another 27 exotics claimed. So let's have a look at the situation here around Umbriel. We have 1 alien site left, which means we only need 1 of these Counselors. So either Nick or Felix gets to go out to the Kuiper belt. I'm building some more ships around Titan. That's not it. So what we want... Felix in group Spartiate. Let's just call it MEU Spartan. How long would it take you to take your Marines? 16.8 weeks. Or 18 with a little bit of Delta V in reserve. Works for me. 1st January 2043, you're leaving. You'll get there a bit later on. By the time you arrive, we should have a base ready to reload and repair your Marine modules, and you can get to work. Meanwhile, the rest of the force can close out here and continue the bash, because they'll be active for a while. Plenty of targets, plenty of exotics still to claim. I'm calling the base out in the Kuiper Belt Forward Operating Base Victory, because I don't think this is a case of pride being premature. I think this is a morale booster more than anything else. We'll let this finish so it can repair and, most importantly, refuel the force. And once it does, we'll upgrade it to a full Tier 3 battle station, style on the aliens by doing so, and then get to work here. Not that imminent military victory takes away from our opportunity to do scientific discoveries. Trident Hold on Trident allows us to study the moon's nitrogen geysers. First observed by the Voyager 2 probe in 1989, the geysers can last over a year, blast matter 8 km high, and expel about 100 million cubic meters of nitrogen gas each. Concentrated around the subsolar point, the core seems to be solid radiation penetrating the surface ice layer, heating and vaporizing surface nitrogen until enough gas pressure builds up for it to erupt through the crust. So we can either gain science points, or we can pay money and boost in order to get even more science. We don't need the science, but of course we do extended observations. Oh great, and the European Union has just hit full democracy level 10 or at least close to, and they're eliminating some of those hostile claims in Russia. So the base cohesion now is 2.3. We'll want to crush the... I've gone to 33% welfare. We want to get inequality down to about 1, because get that rest value, that cohesion, closer to 5. It's about 2.3 at the moment. Keep doing a little bit of unity because we need to be popular, and also shearing off some of those hostile claims. At the moment, we're at a negative 2.1. We'll keep investing. What should happen is once you hit government 10, investing in government should still give you the credit for investing in government to eliminate hostile claims, but the actual benefit to the economy should be passed over to education, which is not a bad thing. It'll help hold cohesion around that 5.0 mark. At the moment, it's wars that are holding cohesion together for all of our major powers. We're at 10 cohesion in the Caliphate, 7 in India, 8.9 in China, and the United States, mate, the US is just 9.9. It is, we are all on board. Everyone is on board with what's going on, but I'm just chunking the economy as fast as I can. For the record, I'm just resupplying Battlefleet Unity. It's going to take more than a month having bashed these stations using the one resupply depot in the station. Why? Because I just went through 45,000 decatons of water. A lot of propellant, but I reckon you got to say, for the win we just got, absolutely worth it. Marines are on the way. Alien home base is secure. And I've started the research for hydrobio warfare.
Prepping for low G ops.
Prepping for low G ops indeed. Let's keep those exotics flowing in while we wait. Erica has grabbed us North Korea and its nuke. As soon as it consolidates, we will abolish that nuclear arsenal. Just a loose end we don't really need. Yeah, imagine space defenses in North Korea. It is in an insurrection though, so let's just quickly lower that. There we are. Let's get unity, let's get the people on side, let's abolish the nuclear arsenal. There's a lot of fixing to do in North Korea, but I promise it'll be worth it in the end, as with everywhere else. We'll also get the United States to join the British war on Kenya, hopefully take over as war leader, and install ourselves there. We're also doing the same in Nigeria. Then we can worry about starting to build some of these regional blocks up while everything else plays out. Oh, cool. Somehow, Australia has become the first nation in the world to convert their entire rail network to magnetic levitation trains. Commuters have been enjoying the benefit of improved public transportation for some time. You know, I bet that this was because of the extreme logic and inevitability of building a high-speed railway from Melbourne to Sydney. I bet that's what they have finally done. I don't know, but let's subsidise the... let's pay 681 cash in order to get 50 free welfare investment in Australia. Okay, and I am building up an Australian army for reasons that will become obvious later on. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Nor to Exodus, starting to form a pretty decent African confederation out over here. Not bad. And while somewhat on the shorter side, I think I actually want to chop it there. The reason is very simple. This turn, we'll finish hydrobio warfare. That should unlock our final objective. And from there, we can talk about taking this thing to the actual endgame. But we've secured orbital control of the alien home base. Our reinforcements will arrive before they do. The Xenos counterattack force, heading out to Ariel, will be able to counter that with the PCT group well in time, and the stations that are going to be protecting that location have also started to come online. These PCT ship reinforcements, for example, are joining Battlefleet Belt, which will bring it up to 21 large vessels, bulking out with a few extra small ones, even as it is probably capable of dealing with this counterattacking force, and they have enough maneuverability to go bash some bases in the belt storm them with Marines, and still beat these guys out to their final objective. So next episode, we will unlock our final objective. We'll build a ship to get a counselor out there to join the others that are already going to be there. And then I think it's time for at least this war to come to a definitive conclusion. See you then.